It's Gabriel.
It's Bailey.
And this is CYMK.
Welcome, CYMK podcasters.
Welcome to CYMK.
This feels like a podcast.
Yeah, we're just lounging. We're sitting back in our twisty chairs.
With a microphone in the hand.
Microphone in hand.
Not a sharing one.
Nope, not sharing one. We have two mics.
And there's like a foot between us. We're just huddled in this little office. So what are we here to talk about today, Bailey? We're going to talk about... I'll tell you what we're going to talk about.
Tell me, please.
We're going to be talking about fiber art.
Fiber art. So is that like the art of like getting all your nutrients for your biological functions, or?
Yes.
Sweet.
We're going to be talking about bodies and cells and the fiber and nutrients that you need.
There's a lot of fiber in like apples, I hear.
I hear there's a lot of fiber. No, it's protein. I get fiber and protein mixed up.
Yeah, they're similar.
Good thing we're not talking about food because I don't know much about that.
Yeah.
But I know a little bit about fiber arts in the art realm.
Actual fiber. Okay, so let's actually get into it. Okay.
So fiber art, if you don't know, is using like the yarn, using embroidery, like floss, just fiber in general, like cotton and fabric.
Anything. Embroidery, hand stitch, needle and thread, sewing, knitting, crocheting, embroidery. I already said embroidery.
You did, but I'm heavy on the embroidery. I love me some embroidery.
So fun.
And I didn't know that it was considered a fine art until I did more research about it, thankfully.
Right, and we feature many different fiber artists within our collection, within our exhibits.
So true.
So, like, it's not just like a craft, you know?
No, it's not just a craft, and it's not just a trade, and I think, so fiber art dates back around 500,000 years ago, and so then obviously it was seen as a trade of just the women then would make the clothes or the blankets, and it was just a necessity. And now that those are more manufactured and we can pick up that trade again, it's seen as art, but just because of how like intense it is.
Yeah, I also found it interesting. I mean, it makes sense, but reading about the origins of fiber art, it was primarily a woman's craft or like a woman's artwork, and it's still kind of viewed like that today, but it's more broadly accepted as a genderless art form, right? So yeah, because
even in the olden days they would take you to like the women's schooling, and you would do embroidery and you would just learn the quote-unquote necessities or the stitching. That's now
it's so interesting though, because like art everybody wears clothes.
So are we wearing art all the time? No.
True. Oh, well, okay. Not me, but maybe you. You have a shirt with a truck on it that says, "If I've offended you, get out of my way."
I was worried about doing a video episode today because I was like, well, I came in comfortable clothes. I look a little bit.
So I think like we have one like main fiber artist we kind of refer to in our permanent collection.
Right. Lloyd Blanks. Yes.
Yeah, Lloyd Blanks. His stuff is really cool, and I didn't like at first glance you think it's like abstract.
Right. That's what I thought when I saw it.
But it was really cool learning about it. Can I tell you like something about its artist statement real quick?
You sure can.
Cool. So, if you haven't seen his work, and we'll post, but they are these landscapes. They're like landscapes, but they're simplified, abstracted landscapes, simple blocks of color, and they're primarily views from his front porch growing up as a child. So like he would sit on the front porch with his grandmother, and his grandmother called the front porch like the front gallery, which is really cool.
I thought that was so cute because then he goes on to call his images like the front gallery.
And it's the view from their front porch onto the horizon. He emphasizes on the horizon line, the sky where it meets the ground. You even see like the pillars of the porch, or you see a little bit of like the landscape, but really beautiful, really simple, really colorful.
Yes, the colors he uses are very vibrant, and I think it's very... What's that word?
Simple, clean.
No, I'm just gonna...
Simple and clean is the way that you...
What musical is that from?
It's not from a musical, so...
I think that the vibrant colors are very... I don't know the word.
Saturated?
No. It's a word. Because I'm going to say...
What does it feel like?
The vibrant colors just feel like how a sunset feels. Like whenever it's sunsetting, like a horizon, and then everything turns to a little bit more of that saturated color.
Oh, like the golden hour.
Golden hour.
I love that. I
That's
love
what
that
it feels
term.
like.
I love that term, the golden hour. So he works with needlepoint. So he says, like, working with needlepoint was, like, of course, like a trade that he learned and mastered and stuff, but it kind of reminded him of his farm work he did growing up on the farm, because it was like a slow, repetitive motion that he could correlate with, like, chopping the crops and plowing and stuff like that. So, like, those were same repetitive motions that, like, you know, you do one at a time until the whole work is done. And, like, needlepoint was the same way. So he kind of felt like it was kind of like a kindred spirit there.
That's really nice. I think also I like how needlepoint is just so mesmerizing, and how you can kind of get lost while doing your day-to-day work and just kind of not dissociate, but go somewhere else, just fall into that groove, and it's almost like a meditation, and I really enjoy that because I've done some embroidering myself, and I can sit there for like 8 hours just in a trance of like in and out with the stitching and
yeah, no, exactly the same. I've also done some embroidering, and yeah, it's so easy to just like sit in front of the TV and like watch TV. But also now that after our interview, I have it in my head to really spend that time invested in my internal emotions while I'm making my art. And that's not like sarcasm. That's just truly how I feel. So like, I'm more into like getting in tune with what I'm doing.
I was about to say, because when I embroider my stuff, I've put a movie on and then I just go into working. But I didn't want to say that because I was like, oh, if McKay listens, I don't want him to be disappointed in me.
No.
For taking myself out of the work.
I really took what he said to heart, so he'd be happy, I think.
But now I'm really glad that fiber art has been seen as fine art, because it is. And just not long ago, we had our West Texas.
True Texas.
We had our True Texas exhibit here, and they featured mini quilts of
Audrey Glagotowicz. I hope I said that right, Audrey. But she is a well-known fiber artist around here in San Angelo. She does beautiful work. Audrey, if you're listening, come be a guest.
But yes, so she had wonderful stuff, and they had wonderful stuff in the show, in the exhibit.
You were touching on the whatchamacallit?
The history,
not the introduction, the invention of like fiber art and textile art. And I just want to give recognition where recognition is due, like the indigenous peoples of the Americas, at least here in America, the indigenous people here that defined and created fiber art from freaking like leaves and hemp and flax, literal, like used what they had around them and created
pulling those fibers from the nature, because I mean, if you tear apart a leaf and you see those little strands in there, they would weave them. They weave them.
Weevils wobble, but they don't fall down.
And looking at this timeline, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. So what does it say on there? How old it dates back to?
10,000 BC.
Before 10,000? The Common Era.
That's what that means?
Yeah. I think so. Before the Common Era. Yeah.
What? So it's not before Christ?
Well, it's before Jesus, I would think.
Is Christ not Jesus?
Are they different people? Wait a minute.
Who's Christ? Looking at this timeline. Okay, so this timeline is from The Arts of Education, A Brief History of Fiber Art. Go look it up. It's very accessible.
We can post it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll post a little picture of this. But it talks about yarn bombing. And at Houston, of all places, like Texas, and maybe more like California, East Coast and stuff, or is that West Coast? That's West.
Isn't it all just a big coast?
We live on the coast. Live on the edge. I'm on the edge
of glory,
and I'm hanging on a moment with you. So I love
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga sponsors.
Lady Gaga, you want to be a guest?
I love yarn bombing. Yarn bombing Lady Gaga's house.
Oh my God, you're gonna get arrested. Did you steal her dogs?
Oh, yeah.
You yarn bomb her dogs?
I did.
You monster.
I did. Oh.
We did yarn bombing for camp a couple years ago.
So how did you so with the camps, those are younger kids. And then this summer camp, we're also doing a weaving project. We'll get into that. But how did you guys go about teaching the kids how to, like, yarn? Or, like, what did they do? They just throw yarn on stuff?
Great question. I was not a lead mentor that year.
What I'm hearing from an outside source is that...
This just in, breaking news.
Breaking news from an outside source is that for camps, they wove the yarn into the fences.
Yeah, in the trees, it was, like, dependent on the outside sources, what was there at the time. Like, the yarn was integrated into the nature.
That is so cool. And yarn disintegrates. It's cotton, unless it's, like, polyester.
We did remove the yarn after.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
We didn't just leave it forever and ever. We left it enough to be, like, a cool installation for a while.
Right. Okay. That is so neat.
We ethically removed it so it did not litter, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh. So speaking of fiber art, I really want to, like, make... Okay, so stippling is whenever you get that needle and you put it on the thingy and then you do the... So that's what stippling is, if you didn't know.
That is the technical definition, yeah.
I have a really fluffy dog, and she clumps fall out of her. She's so much fur. And so I really just want to, like, take that and make another dog out of her.
There are literal books on, like, making a hat for your cat out of its own hair.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, you should do it.
And that's fiber art.
Yeah, little. You should make little things out of your dog's hair.
Or, like, I like integrating human
hair.
Yes.
Your own hair with
Yes.
your dog's hair. You can make a sweater.
Yes. So, well, what I've just been doing is I've just been using it instead of her horsehair on Raku, but that's
Cute.
not fiber art. That's just
Well, I mean,
me doing stuff.
it's kind of mixed media.
Guys, I'm doing mixed media.
What I was gonna say though, when I clean out my brush, that might as well be a pillow. It's just clump. So, like, what if I could do something with it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Is that fiber art? Is hair fiber art actually?
Oh,
Hairs are fibers.
those are fibers. That has to be fiber art. Because, like, if we look at this timeline, and they would use... Oh, maybe not. Dang.
That's a great question. Is hair art fiber art?
I was doing research on fiber artists, and I came across one that I was interested in. Her name is Leah Cook. I just want to read a little statement from her website.
So you're telling me she doesn't cook, she actually sews?
Well, and embroiders and weaves.
That's sick.
Weaves.
That's awesome.
It is like an awesome. So if we look at Leah Cook's work, we see that she combines painting with fiber art. By doing so, she has a picture and then she kind of, like, cross hatches embroidery floss and just, like, not fabric, but, like, yeah, floss and
Like wool,
ooh, yes, that's in here.
kind of.
But anyways, so she says that she's in collaboration with neuroscientists in investigating the nature of emotional response to woven faces by mapping their responses in the brain and by drawing the laboratory experience both with the process and tools to stimulate new work in reaction to these investigations. And so I just think that's really interesting that you're like, fiber to me is something very organic. Whenever I think of fiber, I think organic. And then to just, like, cross that with technology is
And the
super
mapping of the
interesting.
brain and the processes, like, that is so much more intense than you, like, would see or think of when you think of fiber art. That's so much more in depth. It's interesting.
But it's really cool though, because, like, in your brains we have so many neurons and, like, synapses just firing, and if you see videos about it, they're like lines shooting really fast.
Yeah.
And in her work, it looks like those lines.
Yeah, and the you know, the very basics of fiber art. Yeah, that's really cool. We'll have to
really
post
cool.
that. Is like small lines forming together to create the different colors and shapes of the piece. So, like, it all flows together beautifully.
Together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this talk, Bailey.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I'm sure we could talk more about fiber art, so maybe part 2 in the future.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm on the edge.
Of glory.
And I'm hanging on the moment with you. I'm on the edge of glory.
And I'm hanging on a moment.
Goodbye.